You're not woke, you're broke. I'm your host, certified financial therapist Jaelyn Vickery, guiding you towards becoming someone who finally trusts themselves with money. If you're ready to transform your financial identity through real money talk, money news, and money stories, turn up the volume and tune in. This is Finance, Fitness, and Finesse. Hey, Finessers! Welcome to Finance, Fitness, and Finesse. I'm your host, Jaelyn Vickery, also known as Jae Vic, and you're not woke, you're broke if you don't lock into this episode. I'm so happy to have you guys joining me here on the show today. We have a lot to discuss, right? And, from what I found over my journey with money is that the only way to learn about money is to talk about money, okay? So let's get into it. So as you guys know, I am Jae Vic. This episode is all about introducing the origination of F3, the origin of my money story, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys because my money story starts probably where your money story may have started, which is, at least for me, as I was entering adulthood, I was like, there's this thing called money that I'm realizing I need. How the heck do you get it? How the heck do I learn how to understand it, right? I mean, I'm very blessed to be a highly educated woman. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, master's degree in social work, experience in banking, finance, clinical social work, clinical psychology. And my learning journey up to this point has been a blessing, especially amidst the challenges. Yet I found myself graduating with two very fancy, very expensive pieces of paper known as diplomas, right? I mean, thank you for my education, but my gen eds on Greek and Roman mythology that I was forced to take has not helped me learn how to navigate tax season, okay? So again, what better way to learn about money than to talk about it? I started looking into podcasting. I started diving into Google, right? YouTube University, and those things can only get us so far. Where I realize the true abundance of knowledge lies when it comes to our money is the conversations that we can have with other people. Okay, so let's just close our eyes, go through a time capsule, and let's see, we're rolling back the time frame to, what was it? About 2022, okay? We're gonna go back to 2022. All right, I'm a senior in college, okay? And this is actually my first year not competing as a student athlete, okay? I first came to the University of Illinois to play collegiate softball. Oh my gosh, I can get on a whole soapbox of what that journey was like. There's some really important financial principles that I learned throughout my journey as a student athlete, and we're gonna keep rolling back the time frame so that you guys can get a good grasp on where my money journey originates. But I want to first start with the origination of this podcast, right? F3 began for me as a form of not only learning more about money, but also learning how to find my voice. Now, you guys are seeing me on camera. It's a blessing to be able to collaborate with WCIA 3 Studios on this podcast up to this point. I mean, 2 years in from the origination. But freshman year me, back in 2019, I was a COVID kid in college. Freshman year me, I mean, I remember standing in front of a room of, 15 classmates in my public speaking course, and my heartbeat, I could literally feel it in my throat because it felt like my heart was in my throat because I was so nervous to speak in front of just 15 people in the classroom, right? And that comes down to some things around comparison, worthiness, knowing your value, right? The value of your voice. And those are some of the concepts that we will explore together in F3 is how concepts around money and value relate to our experiences in our daily life, right? So going back to 2022, I'm a senior in college, And it's my first year not competing as a student athlete, right? I competed for my first 3 years. My fourth year, I decided to medically redshirt and just take my final year of school to learn more about who I was as a person outside of the headlines of student athlete, right? Which can have a lot of glory to it, but there's also certain limiters in regards to engaging with, your life experience. And then again, that part of finding your voice. Now, even though not playing my senior year was really difficult, I'm still a very competitive person. And I realized that I knew that I wanted to challenge my mind and my body in a different way, right? Prove that I could really do hard things. So on a whim, I decided to sign up for a marathon. Okay, this was in August of 2022. The marathon was May 7th of 2023. Okay. Now, up to this point, I'm a student athlete, so I'm used to conditioning and things like that. But softball players, we don't run long distance. Okay. And so signing up for a marathon was just like, we got to go for it, right? And sometimes that can also happen when it comes to navigating new things like approaching money. While I was running, right, some of these workouts when you're training for a marathon are 30 minutes, 45 minutes, leading up to 2-hour long workouts where you are just running, okay? During that time where all I could do was just be present with my mind and my body, I sought to make as many knowledge deposits as I could into my internal bank account regarding how can I learn about money in as many unique ways as possible so that I can establish the right systems for me. My time as a student athlete, the fulfillment, the letdowns, the fame and the glory, right? Being well known in your community. There's a lot of really great things to that. But I quickly realized over the course of pursuing my professional career as a therapist that not everyone's definition of fulfillment or quality of life, especially with the way that money fits into it, is the same. And what better way to diversify your knowledge portfolio and begin to find your voice than to start a podcast, right? I remember I was running, man, it was like an 8-mile run and I was tired. I was feeling it. My lungs are on fire. And all of a sudden, the concept or the term, "you're not woke, you're broke," comes to mind. Now, when I think about that term, I think about all of my peers that are angry out there. And we're not really sure why. We're angry, we might be disengaged, we might just be like, it is what it is, which can be an attitude that can serve you in some ways. But if you're disengaged with life, if you're disengaged from learning about a resource that we all need, which is money, then you're going to end up being a slave to it rather than being able to leverage it as an asset to support you and support the financial identity that you are seeking to establish to support the lifestyle of your dreams, right? Exploring my money story, understanding the roots of it, has been what has led me to having the capacity and the self-awareness, which is a superpower, to establish financial stability, financial freedom, and financial creativity in young adulthood, so then I can also pay it forward to generations across all lifespans. And that is what I'm here to help you do today, is to establish your financial identity so that you can finally have the freedom to live the life how you want to live it. After the break, we're going to learn more about the origins of my first money memories and my experience of committing to be a Division I athlete at just the age of 14. Finessers, the only way to learn about money is to talk about money. Money feels out of control for the majority of people right now. But if you're here listening to the F3 show, you're not trying to be the majority. You're trying to do something different. Dimensional Wealth provides financial therapy and money coaching. Our services are designed to help you get your money organized by understanding the emotional and behavioral patterns affecting your bank account. Stop procrastinating when it comes to your money. Overcome impulsive spending, money anxiety, and heal from money trauma. Take the first step to take care of yourself. Visit JaeVic.com to book your consultation, and listeners get an exclusive discount on services using code DWF3. That's DWF3 at JaeVic.com. Let's build wealth with wellness. Now back to the show. Hey Finessers, welcome back to the show. I hope that you took a sip of water, took a little stretch break. I know that's what I needed. Unless if you're driving, please be safe, but also stay hydrated. Okay, so before we cut to the break, I gave you guys a little bit of a taste of what we're going to talk about next, which is my first money memory. When you tune into the show, and I encourage you to continue to do so, because again, the only way to learn about money is to talk about money, we are going to have some phenomenal guests from all walks of life, all sorts of backgrounds, that we are going to exchange just like a genuine, authentic conversation, because that is not, we don't have enough conversations about money. I mean, I know when growing up, I was taught that, talking about money was a little bit taboo. I mean, I'm blessed with, my father. He very much instilled my work ethic in me and my siblings. I grew up on 3 acres of land in the middle of the woods in central Illinois. We had our own little sanctuary, but also I was that 5-year-old that was chopping wood for allowance to buy some candy at the store, right? But man, I mean, those types of principles that we learn in childhood, our money stories take deep roots in childhood. I mean, there's research out there that around 5 to 7 years old, children already are picking up on patterns, behaviors, and perspectives about money from their living environment, from whoever's caring for them. And with the clients that I work with now at my financial therapy and coaching business, Dimensional Wealth, I mean, some of the stories that we learn are they're profound. And I'm excited to bring that to you guys in some of the guest interviews that we will have on the show moving forward. Now, okay, what is one question that you will hear on the show whenever one of the first questions I like to ask guests is, what is a money memory where your financial identity changed? For me, there's a couple different points in my life where my financial identity changed. One that comes to mind that has a very significant impact, at least in the origin of my money story, is when I was 14, 15 years old, negotiating with college coaches, right? People that are decades older than me, on what my scholarships might look like, what I want to do for the rest of my life. I mean, I can't even drive yet, and I'm talking about negotiating tens of thousands of dollars to pay for my higher education, to then avoid, or at least create a workaround, this thing called student debt that is shackled to so many of us and feels like it's something that is just out of reach of becoming free from for so many people. And that's a limiter that nobody deserves, yet another limiter that can be placed on us that I experienced at a very young age was the hardcore pursuit of money over your passions. Committing to play college softball, and I played at the University of Illinois, ILL, it almost felt like more of a community expectation rather than my purpose. We're going to have I'm so excited about this guest that we're going to have on the show. coming up in some future episodes, just about what student athletes navigate in regards to our self-worth and how that also relates to money. But regardless of whether you're an athlete or an artist or a musician, or even just someone who's trying to navigate life in their day-to-day and do things right, we tend to lose ourselves when society places value on our careers or where we go to school rather than the uniqueness of the individual and what our unique perspective is on how we want to live our day-to-day lives. If you can establish a firm yet adaptable approach to your identity as a human being, and how you want to live your unique life, that is where true wealth and abundance lies, right? There's a scale that I like to utilize when, not only in my own life, but also when working with clients at my practice. It's called the adaptability scale. And on one end is rigidity, on the other end is chaos. And you're gonna hear me bring this scale up a lot because we need a little bit of rigidity and chaos in our lives, right? There's an appropriate amount of risk-taking that needs to happen, right? I mean, go back to 14-year-old Jae, 15-year-old Jae, right? She has to take a risk of what school is she going to choose, right? How is she going to present herself in the conversation? Is she going to play it safe, or is she going to assert herself in order to get the best opportunity possible, right? I mean, I was a pretty quiet kid. I'm a middle child, right? I navigate and figure out life. I'm very observant, right? And so speaking up for myself was not always my strong suit. So it's kind of ironic that now I'm a therapist and I support others in that journey of self-advocacy, especially financially, not only individually, but also externally in our relationships. Rigidity, right? That's where you set those expectations for yourself, okay? With money, where things get really unclear is when we don't establish expectations for not only how we want to live our life, but also how am I going to utilize learning? How am I going to engage in diverse forms of learning about money? Is it going to be podcasts? Podcast is a great place to start if you're not feeling safe or having the clarity and confidence to approach your circles about it, be it your friends, your loved ones, things like that. This past weekend, I had several relatives in town for a family event, and I finally had a chance to sit down with my grandmother. She's in her 80s, Polish woman. I'm half Polish, half Irish, along with my African-American roots, in case you guys couldn't tell. And, my grandmother, her name is Busha, and she's a fiery, Polish lady. I mean, she comes from a very hardworking family, an immigrant family. And there were some stories that I learned that were like, oh my gosh, the opportunity for generational wealth in our family started with her parents, yet somehow it hasn't been sustained to the extent that it could have been to support future generations. When we come back from the commercial break, I'm going to tell you guys a statistic about why generational wealth doesn't make it to future generations. Finessers, how is society supposed to survive if the wealth gap keeps growing because financial support is built for people who already have money? A lot of financial services are charging $200, $300 an hour just to have a conversation. And for most people, that's just not realistic. I mean, 4 out of 10 Americans can't even afford a $400 emergency expense. Dimensional Wealth offers financial therapy and money coaching through a pay-per-minute model starting at just $1.50 per minute. You pay for the time you need, time and money, 2 of your most important assets, back in your control. In just 8 sessions, our clients see lasting change, becoming more organized, more confident, and navigating their money decisions with more ease. So if you've been putting off getting financial support because of time or cost, now you have no excuse. Visit JaeVic.com to book your consultation, and listeners of the show get an exclusive discount on services using code DWF3. That's DWF3 at JaeVic.com. You're not woke, you're broke. Now back to the show. Hey finessers. I hope you guys like my rock star look today because we're ready to rock with our money on this show. That was a dare. I needed to make sure I followed through. Okay, so before we left for the commercial break, if I recall correctly, we were talking a little bit about generational wealth. Now, why does generational wealth matter? Well, let's think about the fact that you're probably listening to the show not only to learn about how to take different approaches to your money so you can have more clarity and confidence in your financial identity moving forward so that, money just in general becomes less stressful. There's always going to be stress when it comes to money. It's a resource that we have to, that we get to pursue, acquire, make work for us, right? There's an artistic approach to money that our community, finessers on this show, that we take when we are engaging with our financial well-being. Generational wealth is so important, and it's not a matter of, just being a trust fund baby or not having any money at all, because I have worked with people across all spectrums. I've worked with people across the spectrum socioeconomically, and the term more money, more problems is true, okay? Having more money does not necessarily indicate financial well-being, because how we feel about money is a greater indicator of our financial health than the actual amount of money in our bank account. Generational wealth typically does not make it to the third generation. Okay, so think about it like grandparents, parents, grandkids. That's you. Okay? Now, why is that, right? If grandparents worked, or great-grandparents, grandparents worked so hard to build businesses, make investments, right, that could then support not only themselves but also future generations, why is it not making it to us? Right? And that is something that we are going to continue to explore throughout the show. There is a book called Generational Wealth Begins with Generational Knowledge by Dr. Joaquin Wallace that I will reference many times throughout the show. Now, that generational knowledge piece, think about it, right? At the beginning of the show, I told you guys about the origin of F3, starting the podcast, because if I'm being honest, I'm still pretty upset. I have some taste of anger in the fact that I have 2 diplomas and I never took a personal finance gen ed during college. I never had that opportunity in high school. Now, state legislation is starting to pass laws that require high schoolers to take a personal finance course before they graduate. And that's phenomenal. Yet, this is a little bit of a side note, but it's related. There's a organization called Next Gen Personal Finance. I did some public speaking with them, and that organization, their initiatives is to support teachers, right, high school teachers that are instructed to teach these personal finance courses to students, but these teachers also did not have the basics of education around the basics of financial literacy that support themselves. So how are they supposed to pay it forward to the next generation? How are we supposed to make sure that the curriculum is equal as much as possible across school districts when different districts have different funding, different things like that? So, the wealth gap in regards to knowledge is only going to increase if we cannot figure out a approach that is all-encompassing and accessible to multiple generations, right? And that's why on the show, you're going to witness me being a big advocate for you, finessers to start having these conversations with your circle. The best place to start with your generational wealth is to gain generational knowledge from your family, right? I mean, I had the opportunity to have a 2-hour conversation with my grandmother about the themes around money that she saw in her life, the triumphs and challenges that she saw and that she witnessed that, contribute to some of her behaviors today. I mean, she didn't grow up super well off. So when she had a large inheritance, she had the opportunity to spend more. Has that served her in ways? Yes. Has it served the next generation in some ways? Maybe, maybe not, right? But if we don't have those conversations early on, we aren't going to be able to learn from them together. Financial literacy, what we are exchanging that for on Finance, Fitness, and Finesse is financial empowerment. Money is emotions disguised as numbers. As we continue to understand that, as we continue to uncover the emotional, relational, and psychological side of money, that is where financial empowerment will fuel you. That's where it will lead you to places you never thought were possible, with not only navigating your money and establishing financial safety, but also having a financial identity that supports you through every stage of life. Thank you guys so much for joining the show today. Please don't forget to hit subscribe, leave a review, give us a follow on Finance, Fitness, and Finesse on your favorite social platform, and join the Finesser community, right? Because you guys are not going to want to miss out on this. You're not woke, you're broke if you don't share this with a friend. And I'll see you guys next time. If you don't know, now you know. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Finance, Fitness, and Finesse. If this episode shifted how you think or feel about money, pass it along to someone you care about. Got a real-life money story, question, or discovery? Send it our way at financefitnessfinesse@gmail.com or connect with us on social media. And remember, you're not woke, you're broke.